The following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
And I was like, yes, hi. I was so excited.
Oh, we said hi. Let me get hi again.
Okay, hi.
A guy get to a point and he asks you to marry him, he really wants to marry you.
Mm-hmm. He ready.
Like he really feels like, you know what, she's the one. She's the one.
You already getting the goods. You got to pay for it. Bring me the ring and get on one knee.
Okay.
Or two.
You need time to observe someone and really get a sense of how well do they treat you, how well do they handle adversity.
You're not the one because you don't have grit, the perseverance. You ain't really want me because you ready to give up. Because I said no. Nah, you shouldn't have asked. But since I said no, now it's your job to stay in the game and try to fight for it.
Boy, on 5 Heartbeats, when you make the announcement you're going solo at the awards ceremony.
What up? Welcome to One Eye Shut, the podcast of many topics from the perspective of 3 married couples. Welcome to the dopest podcast out there. You can listen to us at defylifepods.com, iTunes, Spotify, or any of the other popular podcast platforms. Welcome back, y'all. We are glad to be back. And we are super excited about having the Stevens back with us, Thomas and Chiquita. They were out for a couple of weeks battling, as it's become known as, the COVID. They triumphed and they are back sounding good, feeling good, looking good. And so welcome back, guys.
We appreciate it. Glad to be back. Welcome back. Glad to be back.
Yes, we missed you guys. You are an integral part, a third of the crew, a third of the team, and so we're just glad to have you back. So, tonight we're gonna try something new. We're just gonna try something new and see how it goes. We know y'all are gonna enjoy it. And so before we get started, we're going to go around and in honor of their return, we are going to start with Thomas and Chiquita. What's your word of the day, guys, and how y'all doing?
You want to begin? No?
Yes, I can quickly begin. I would say I'm exhausted still. Even though if I was supposed to be resting for 10 days with COVID, but just being back at work, taking kids to school, I'm just feeling exhausted and I'm still out of breath. So right now I just was trying to put the kids to bed and I can't have breathe. But I'm exhausted. So that's my word of the day. And blessed though. I'm also blessed.
All right. So I will tackle my word. Oh, again, I'm great. Extremely happy to be back. The COVID is everything that it. The COVID was everything they said it was, and said it is, and more. But hey, heart wrenching. It was just. I'm not even going to speak about the anxiety and everything I had, during that time. But I'm just going to speak about the heart-wrenching moments to me that when I found out I had it, Chiquita's on the phone and she's on the phone speakerphone because that's the only way she know how to speak on the phone. Like just so
How distinguished are you, Chiquita?
Right.
That's not funny.
So she's speaking to her sister, and her sister was like, "Oh my God, who has it?" And she was like, "Well, Thomas has it, and Carter has it." But then Chiquita was like, "Well, I tested negative," and she was like, "Oh my God, Thomas has it." And Cooper looked around, and she was like, "What?" You know, my daddy has the coronavirus. Dude, and she lost it. She cried for like 2.5, 3 hours straight. Like it was so it was so hard, you know, to calm her down because all she knows is people get the coronavirus and they don't survive, right? So then there comes a time where it's 3 a.m. Erickson, he wakes up. He always comes in our room and does whatever. He does whatever. So he's standing right at the cusp where you enter our room, and he has his mask on. And I was like, "Hey man, what is it? You okay?" He's like, "Dad, I just want to hug you. I love you so much. I just want to hug you." And I was like, "Bro, you can't." And he was like, "Yeah, I know you got the coronavirus." So that really ripped me apart. So again, I'm gonna go back to heart wrenching. I was just thinking about some of the heart wrenching moments of in the middle of the COVID. So you got. I'm done.
I can't wait to tell my father we have like totally, what's the word? We've
adopted, hijacked.
Yes, we've hijacked the COVID. Oh, he's gonna be so excited about this.
Yeah, the COVID. Yeah.
The COVID. Okay, cool. Let's go with the other glimpse. Ladine and JR. Go ahead, Jay.
Oh, she said your name first, but okay. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. First off, welcome back, Thomas, Chiquita. Missed y'all. I'm glad y'all are better.
Thank you.
No doubt. It's good to have y'all back. My word of the day. I guess I'll go deja vu. We had another COVID outbreak at my job. And yeah, so again, I work at a food environment production. So, anytime that's the case, they kind of got to shut stuff down and clean thoroughly. So yeah, we are awaiting our our decision to when we go back to work. So again, it's another mini vacation. The
dude who started a job 3 months ago and already has had 4 weeks of vacation.
Right.
All right.
But I mean, it is a bit worrisome because at some point you do wonder, like, okay, at what point does that affect, profits? And and since I'm the new guy, what point does that affect my job and anybody else? So it's a bit worrisome, but it's the world we live in. So it's kind of a bit frustrated, but I'll take it for now. So I'll go with frustration and deja vu.
Okay, frustration and deja vu. All right, Ladine, what you got for us? Well, I always got something in the stash. That's code for I don't know, and I'm stalling. Hello.
Search my stash.
So actually, right. Well, I'm gonna roll with Gina. Like she rolled with Committed last week. So I'm gonna steal that for this week. Or I guess no, I won't do you. I'm gonna go with Inspired by Miss Gina Glim. To get on my health stuff. Okay. And so yeah, so I mean I'm a foodie and I like it all. I like real food. I like desserts. I like everything about food. I cook my ass off and I bake. So it just makes it difficult. Being home, it's just been more difficult. I gained like 40 pounds this year. I am and I just haven't had the desire to do this again. Being a mom, being a woman after having 2 C-sections, like just after having kids and yo, it's like you gotta be on your body. I mean, on your body, on the workout, on what you eat. There's no slacking and shit. That can't happen. So once I get to slacking, it gets serious. And I've slacked for probably about a year and 4 or 5 months now. And I'm done with the slacking. So for me, I've done a lot of work on Ladine, a lot of different trauma healing, a lot of different stuff. Just getting in tune with me and all pieces of me. And this is the last step. So I don't want to say the last step, but this is one of the major steps for me to really like be aligned. And so that's what I'm doing, and I'm excited about it. So it's also the first day of Lent. Today's Ash Wednesday. I grew up Catholic, and it's 40 days before Easter. And most people, I think most religions, right, usually fast around this time of year. I know Muslims have Ramadan. A lot of people just do different fastings with their church and stuff. And so just got myself my own little form of fasting started today. I did good. I didn't like totally want to shoot myself in the head. I'm like really ready for this. Yeah, and I'm excited because I'm really, really mentally ready. So I love seeing other people do good things for themselves, for their health, for their bodies. So just even seeing Gina so excited last week, that was an inspiration on its own. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready to go. So we doing this. All
Yes.
right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. And I'm glad that you mentioned Lent, right? Because I'm not Catholic. But most years I do it, participate in Lent. And yeah, I hadn't even thought about it this year. And so thank you for bringing that up because I need to come up with something. And I remember like being questioned. It might have even been someone in the family. And it was like, why you do Lent? You ain't Catholic, why would you support that? Blah, blah, blah. And my response then, and it still is, like, for me, it's not about so much religious based, right? Spiritual maybe, but definitely not religious based. And so I'm also not that religion snob that I can't, acknowledge and practice. If the shit is good, then it's good.
Right.
You know
If
what I
it
mean?
works,
And,
then I'm
right.
with it.
And so that is about sacrifice, right?
Right.
And
Ooh,
here goes that
great
word
word.
again. Right. That's about sacrifice, and sacrifice is good in a lot of ways. So yeah, I gotta think about that. So all right. Thank you, Ladine and JR.
Yeah.
Al, what you got?
What up, though? Welcome back, Stevens. Good to have y'all back. Good to hear y'all story of triumph and that y'all got through it. So welcome back. We need to
Thanks,
do a show on Easter because that kind of always Easter is, and that's a whole another conversation. How I just be moving from month to month, week to week, and stuff like that. So
You always be trying to bring up like future
to educate
future
some of our
topics.
listeners and my host and me, we might want to clarify when Easter is every year or something like that. But anyway,
Uh-oh.
well, we ain't going down that road.
I don't think it switches anymore, babe.
Huh?
I don't think it switches anymore. I think they
I'm
stopped
pretty
doing
sure
that.
last year was in June.
Oh my god.
It was not.
Oh my god.
But what's good, listeners? It's good to be back. So my word of the day is forever. So not just because tomorrow when this show airs will be on the birthday of my nephew who I will miss forever. Shout out to Darnell.
R.I.P. Darnell.
Word. The kid was like a son to us, and we will miss him forever. Also, though, I think I made a note in talking with one of my uncles today, and we were just talking about how we need to make sure we see each other as a family in these times, despite these times, because life can change forever on a dime. And we were just kind of reminiscing how we both learned that lesson of forever. Mine was in the loss of my father, and you just kind of learn that forever means really fucking forever. But I also like forever because I think as we talk about how we, live and our legacies and how we want to interact with each other, is so that we live a life that people will remember us forever and stuff like that, right? So that's just kind of where I am as a word, and we should just be celebrating life on a regular because, life ain't forever. So.
Life ain't for the physical life is not forever, for sure. For sure. All right, thanks, Al. Forever. Yeah, that was pretty deep. All right, so my word, honestly, I really didn't have one because I'm in this weird sort of space. And I started out great today. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so as Al was talking, I think that, I kind of decided I was going to try to shift that energy and focus on something else as opposed to that thing that I'm feeling. And so my word is going to be grateful. So yesterday, I think it was yesterday, my baby sister got a job, y'all. So she is one of the newest teachers at a local school, elementary school here in Metro Atlanta. So kudos to Miko for landing that job. And then
kudos to Miko.
Kudos to Miko.
Congrats.
Yes, her first teaching job. She's
Awesome.
currently a paraprofessional at a middle school, and so this is a promotion for her. And her current principal described it as that. He was like, because she went to tell him and to turn in her notice or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, you don't give me a resignation. This is a promotion within the school district, so it's no need for all of that." So that was just a cherry on his Alvin. I'm like, yes, do it.
Good
It is,
stuff.
yeah.
Good stuff.
So she's really excited. We're really excited for her. And then our daughter called us tonight to tell us about her second job offer that she's gotten.
Okay, tell you.
She's in nursing school. I'm sure we've mentioned that before, but she's in nursing school, and so she graduates in May. And so this is a season where they are interviewing to start their residencies in July. So she's already got so we know for sure she is employed when she graduates. But yeah, she got her second offer today.
Awesome.
And so she's got a few more interviews next week. And so she's just like, I'm waiting. I've got options, Mom. I got options. Don't weigh my options. I'm like, girl, yes, you've got options. So I'm grateful for all of that. It's just great to see people that you love advancing and having their dreams answered and getting their wishes and all that stuff. So it's good shit. So all right, y'all. So I mentioned that we're going to do something different. And, in the spirit of true transparency, right? So y'all know that we do a pre-show. We got on the pre-show without a real topic, like a definitive topic in mind, right? We throwing out ideas. We have a whole list of topics that we, came up with over the months. And sometimes, we look at that list and we're not inspired in the moment, right? When we put it on the list, it sounded like a great idea, but sometimes as you hear things a second time, like, that's not for tonight. We're not feeling that tonight. Maybe next week, all that kind of thing. And so we were just throwing around ideas, and in the true fashion of how we roll when we get on, we just start talking sometimes, right? And stuff just comes up. And so as we're getting into a deep conversation, Jay says, y'all, this is the show right here. So we just kind of put a pin in it. We was like, all right, stop. Everybody just stop talking. Let's get on the air and let's just resume this conversation.
And we do that shit all the time. Y'all should hear the pre-shows. Oh my God.
I know, we've even thought of what? Let's start recording the pre-shows because we have some really good shows on the pre-shows. The same with the after show.
And
so
it just
goes that way.
Right.
That's the problem. We often forget. And y'all, real talk. Y'all know, I spend a lot of time on Zoom, and I promise y'all, I forget to press record when I'm having my sessions. Like, no lie. Like, and so I'm at the point where I just delegate that to somebody else because I just can't seem to remember to do that for whatever reason. But anyway, okay, so let's start. One of the things that we talked about. So I said all that to say to let you all know that this is probably going to be a smorgasbord of topics. We'll kind of see how it goes. So we're improvising at this point. So we left the conversation talking about movies. Right. Well, actually, no, let's start from the beginning, y'all, because this was a real debate on the pre-show about the word distinguished and being described as looking distinguished or being distinguished, right? And I'm just setting it up for you. Damn, like, let me do my thing, Al.
That dude got a problem with that word.
He's not with it
at all.
He really hates that word.
No, I'm just saying.
Should we just say the
I
D
just
word?
feel like Ladine was going to try to jump line and get in front of me, so I was
Babe,
just
go
trying
ahead.
to say,
You know what?
let me just make sure I go first. That's all I want to say.
It's distinguished with a D.
Just go.
With the D.
Just go.
Just go on and go.
Just go on and go, baby.
I sure do appreciate you. So first, let me say, I just need to recite a quick lyric, right? Y'all better not come to my studio with that fake shit. Y'all better not come to my funeral with that fake shit. You better off realizing there's nothing that y'all could do with me. All as I ask is that you keep it 8 more than 92 with me, 100. Because on the real, Miss Host, you keep it 100, real, authentic, telling them all of our dirt. You ain't got to let them know that we don't know what we doing as we come into the show. I appreciate your authenticity. That's just a shout out to my host because I really do appreciate you keeping it 100. That's a compliment. So
and he had to clarify that was a compliment.
I really do appreciate that you don't fake it, that you let them know where we at. So I just want to say I appreciate that. Just shouting out this little show. No, so distinguished, right? So for me, honestly, but distinguished. I'm just one who, about keeping it 100. That when I hear distinguished, I really feel like that's people's nice way of saying, wow, you've aged, Al. Wow, you've aged. You look distinguished. And like they're trying to make me feel better about it. And that's all I'm saying. I mean, I crack jokes by saying, you really mean you saying I look old as shit. But I really just feel like it's their way of them trying to soften what they're coming at me and like, damn, Al is getting old. But I can't say that. You know what, dude? You look distinguished. Oh, okay. That's all I got.
Well, that's not really how you put it earlier.
But I was cracking jokes.
So if somebody comes to me and says, damn, you aging, and then say you look distinguished, like, yeah, okay, I can see how that might not feel like a compliment.
That's not what they say. I'm saying that's what's going through their mind as they see me. Be like, wow, damn, look at all that gray on Al's beard. Wow, that motherfucker look like Grady. You look distinguished, Al. Okay.
Yeah, I still say that that's you projecting. You reading folks' minds, like assuming what they mean. When I hear the word distinguished, I don't think anything but positive. Like, really, because by definition, like, that's what the word means. That you are set apart, that there's some excellence there, that, there's something different about you in a favorable way. Like I said, there's a lot of old folks that you would not describe as distinguished. There's a lot of Grady-looking motherfuckers out there that you wouldn't describe as distinguished. I'm just saying, like, that's just how I feel about it. I don't know. What y'all think?
I agree.
You agree
I
with
see
who?
it as positive as well.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah.
So if somebody said to you, yo, Thomas, you looking distinguished today.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Every merit I heard it used, it was something honorable and setting yourself apart. Like, so that's how I've always perceived it. But
Why?
Keep on
I
having
guess-
birthdays.
Well,
Keep on having birthdays.
why I don't take it any kind of way or have any kind of personal perception when people say it to me, or I hear it said to somebody else. I can see where Al's coming from. Because generally, when people say that, it is to an older dude. I've never seen. I can't recall the last time I've seen somebody walk up to a 20-year-old and be like, "Yo, you look distinguished today." Never seen that happen before.
That might be true, right? But that's still a positive. Like, it's still setting you apart from the other older people.
It is
like,
but
you're distinct. Like,
I get. I don't. Like I said, I don't have, but I can see where Al's
yes,
coming
there
from.
is a like.
Because there's I guess there's an attachment to age when people say it.
I don't look at it as that way. I think when someone says distinguished, it's an older person saying it to a younger person, but I don't see it as saying that I'm old because someone said that I'm distinguished looking. I mean, it's not a youth word, but it's something that older people say to anyone. That's how I look at the word. So maybe Al doesn't like it because it's not it's not a youth word. You know what I'm saying? It's not something you would hear a 20-year-old say to someone. It's no hip to it. But it's more like a professional older person will say to anyone. So that's how I look at the word distinguished.
So now, Al, it's a word that old folks say to old folks. Man.
That's pretty much what I heard.
No, I didn't say that. I said it's a word. No, it's a word that old folks may say to any age.
When's the last
But it's
time you heard
it's not a
old
word
person
that
say
you
it to
won't
a
hear
teenager?
the youth people say.
When's the last time you heard an old person say that to a teenager?
They probably wouldn't say it to a teenager.
Say that to teenagers.
Yeah, I've heard it. Well, even 20, you know, when I had some glasses, I heard a older guy say, I was like, man, I really don't like it. Like, Thomas, you look distinguished. So
and he was trying to make you feel better about what he thought about how you looked.
I didn't think about I look old with my glasses on. I just thought I look different from these guys. That's how I took it, you know.
And again, I'm not saying I feel a certain kind of way about feeling old. I'm also saying I don't even look at myself in the mirror when I see Ola Gray and think old. I don't do that. I feel old when my back hurt and I can't do shit. That's something different. But my point is just that when when people when people step to me and they look at me like, wow, that's a lot of gray, dude. But you know what? You look distinguished. All I'm saying is what I hear is them trying to translate and say, oh, man, he probably feels bad the way he looked. So let me help him feel better about it. Right. So I think that's what they were saying to you when they looked at your glasses and was like, yo, he probably don't like them glasses. So let me help him feel better about it. Kind of like you just did with your son. Like, he was like, I don't want to wear these. And he's like, you know what? He probably don't. You know what? Let me make him feel better about it. You look distinguished, sir.
Yeah, I didn't want him to feel better, but I didn't.
Y'all don't got to make me feel better. Just tell me y'all think I look old.
But in my head, I'm not thinking you look older. I'm thinking that you look like professional. You look dapper. You look, to me, you look like you set yourself apart from someone. You like a scientist. I mean, that's how I'm seeing it. I'm not saying it as you, bro, you look old. That's not what I'm thinking in my head. So like I said, to me, it's all about who's using it. That's how I think, the person who's using it.
No, right. I don't think it depends on the person that's using it. I do understand Al's perspective with the way in which it's being used, or maybe like the tone that it comes with, or the tone of the conversation. I get it. I understand that. But I don't know. For me, distinguished was always like someone that exuberated just excellence. Someone that stood well, spoke well, was just had character, but was also intellectual. Like, I don't know, to was a compliment. It was always a beautiful word. And I understand what Keita was trying to say. I don't think, Keita, you really meant, I think you may have meant maybe more mature. Someone that is a little mature, maybe not old, but someone a little more mature would use the word distinguished versus a child or a teenager. So I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know, babe. I just want to offer this to you. There are a lot of people out there, including myself, that when I use the word distinguished, it's all positive. It's all about you are elevated in some kind of way. And so I'm just offering to you that perhaps you could take on that perspective so that when someone says it to you, you don't walk away feeling like, oh, that motherfucker just dissed me. I'm just saying.
Right.
That's,
and
or,
yes,
just,
and,
or not. It's just an offering. And so, like, I like the word and I use it positively.
Again, I'm not walking away with them like I'm feeling dissed. I'm walking away feeling, again, like that's not what they, like, just they're trying to make me feel better about it. And it's not, that's what I'm walking away with. Not like, oh, y'all really meant this, but I get it. It ain't, I'm not walking away like, I can't believe you fucking called me old.
Right, and I think I can speak for Pooh on this as well. But our relationship is good enough that if I want to tell you, nigga, you look old as fuck. Me and Pooh gonna tell you.
Hey,
you look old as fuck.
I had my sister laugh at me on the call because she thought I looked so goddamn old. Like, it ain't a lot of taking it easy on people. Right. That don't really happen a lot in my life.
Right. So,
God damn, you look old, Al.
So if you ever hear me say you look distinguished, I mean that shit.
Thank you.
And I've heard, like I say, distinguished as in, honorable, like you said, exuberant, exceptional character. But I've also heard someone say that, well, he looks that way, but he also looks older. So I do hear older accompanied with distinguished at times. That's why I say it depends on who's using it. Right.
Yeah. And so, which I think was what led us to talk about. It kind of led us to talk about Denzel, because usually with male actors, when they get older, that's a word that's used. They start to look distinguished. They take on more distinguished roles, as opposed to more female actors who tend to have limited opportunities when they get older. And I know that's an issue across the industry. But and then some, I think it was Gina, one of y'all had the nerve to say Denzel's movie was whack. Nah, that shit was terrible.
It was straight with me. I enjoyed it.
Straight dookie juice.
I enjoyed it. We can't.
Gina, Alvin.
That was definitely the first movie where I looked at Denzel and recognized that transition, Jay, that you're talking about, from the sex symbol actor or action type actor to the distinguished role, older guy, and like really playing that role. And I seen it, but you've seen it like with Morgan, you've seen it with Sidney Poitier. It's just Denzel. We've grown up with him, so we've seen him from really be in his young 20s to now this guy.
Yeah,
this guy. Wow.
I mean, no disrespect. He's literally one of my favorite actors. So yeah, it's funny because me and Gina have this rule when we watch movies. Right? We call it the 20-minute rule. And if we don't like this movie when it comes 20 minutes, we moving on. We ain't watching the movie just to watch it. So we be like 20-minute rule in effect. 20-minute rule in effect, like, right? With this movie, because it's Denzel, I'm like 30-minute rule in effect because it's Denzel. Because it's starting off real slow.
Right, we gave him some extra grace. Like, yo, all right, we wait for 30 minutes.
30 minutes. And then she was like, nah, this movie's whack. And I still watched it to the end. I watched it to the end.
Yeah, at the 30-minute mark, I think I started like browsing Facebook or something. Like, this shit is so whack.
and that's what got me.
It was straight to me. It was straight. Really, I enjoyed it.
What got me was, like, I guess it's the fact that the title is Little Things, and the fact that he was playing again a character who was not supposed to be a smooth operator or like a deep individual or sex. He was a regular old dude. And so you were expecting him to have some sense of depth throughout the movie. And so I kept expecting him to have like all these like, or either a bunch of like moments where you was like, oh shit, I didn't even see that coming. Or a huge moment when you was like, oh shit, I ain't see that coming. It never happened. He was just an old dude. He was doing regular shit.
No, it never happened. It never happened.
And what about the little things?
What
What about it? Right. What was the significance? What the fuck was the little things?
I think he was talking about how many naps I was taking through that movie.
Exactly, I'm saying it. So it came up a couple times, like that phrase came up a couple, but it never gained any real significance.
No,
and he kept saying it. He was like,
right. So it's just like, what the fuck is this movie about again?
Right.
Like what?
In traditional Denzel fashion, he was just like, it's the little things, my man. And then you don't see the little things.
So I think this just kind of came to me. So I'm going to. I think the real problem was the script, right? I really think all in all the script was flawed. But I think the title, "The Little Things," might mean. I think him and the young detective both had that trait of focusing on little things. Like they were the people who would get obsessed on something and can't let it go, can't let it go. So if anything, in terms of this is how I'm reaching, that the title reflects that their similarity in characters, and that's what made them great detectives.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
And
I can see all of that up until this is what makes us great detectives, right? Because at what point was the younger guy a great detective?
Right.
Like, yes, they got hung up on, and yes, in the details, like the little things are important, and I get it. I get where it was trying to go. I'm just saying, like, for me, it never quite made it there.
Right. The curl never quite curled.
Right.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Yeah. And the other detective, if anybody's never seen the Night Of series on HBO, did y'all see that?
No,
that's
we don't have
where.
HBO.
Okay, that's where and we generally don't either. We get it when Insecure is on, and then we turn it off. But his first major role was in that series, like a mini series on HBO called The Night Of. Great series. So if you get a chance to check it out, check it out. I think HBO Max is like free for a week right now, but that's definitely a good series to check out.
Okay, I gotcha.
You're talking about the detective guy?
Yeah, I think his name is like Remy Malik or something like that. But The Night Of is an amazing series.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed the movie, not because it was just Denzel. I mean, well, let me just put it that way. It was Denzel.
I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you either. That's why he got that extra 10 minutes, because it's Denzel. That shit means something.
Now, I would say I kind of fell asleep on, what was the movie with Denzel? And he was like, it started with an E.
The Equalizer?
Equalizer.
No, not the Equalizer. The other one with the Bible.
Eli.
Oh,
Eli.
That's my joint.
To sleep on Eli.
Wow.
Great one. You bugging, cuz.
But that's just me though. But I still kind of, I woke up and I kind of finished it or whatever. But I enjoyed the movie. I mean, it's Denzel. Denzel can't do no harm. The stomach was out there, but after I saw it, I didn't pay it attention anymore. And Gina and Al definitely can't come to our house because I look at movies that doesn't make any sense.
Me too.
Hey, like Keita, 75-minute rule in effect.
I look at the whole movie. I look at these African movies that's on Netflix. I enjoy movies.
Yo, and I'm with you though, but I be feeling bad because I try my damnedest to give, especially like all independent black movies on like Prime and Netflix. Like I give them a chance, and Ladine be like, "You watching another one of them whack ass movies?" And I be like, "Yeah, I be wanting to give them a chance."
Right,
and
Lee.
like the
Thomas
acting
does
be
this to me
terrible.
all the time.
Shit like it was filmed
And
on an
I think
iPhone. Like it's horrible.
And
Hey,
and
hey, I
don't
think
let
it's
me be don't let me be sitting next to him because I'll be like, come on, son. It's been 20 minutes. It ain't going nowhere. Change it, yo.
Right. But but Ladine be watching
look, I
like
can't do
the white folks that do magic and shit. So she like
it.
any kind
try
of
though. I do try, and I'll be like, yo, they got the same people.
Same people.
Yeah,
And
the
the-
African movies play to have the same characters.
same yeah.
I love watching it. I
But
don't
you
know
know
why.
you know how you
I
know it's gonna be
enjoy
terrible? You know it's gonna be terrible if the same dude produced it, wrote it, directed it, and acted in it.
And
It's the same, right? You know it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be like, man, this dude and got all his homeboys together and said, I'm gonna shoot this movie, and he doing everything. And then like you know like they try to like it's one person in the movie who's supposed to be like balling, and they drive up in an Altima. Yeah, you like. You're like, yeah.
Oh, it gotta be Toyota. It's definitely a Toyota.
Oh, Toyota, right?
Toyota. No, and this is funny, but it sucks at the same time that there are categories for like A, B, and C and D-list actors and stuff. It sucks for them. I hate it for them because there are some times where we'll be watching the movie and I'm like, oh, this dude's in this, and I'll be like, damn, did he fall off like that because he's in this and that? And that's sad. Like, why did he have to fall off to be in this? Why can't he just be, you know, keeping his career going to be in this? You know what I'm saying? That's fucked up.
It could be both.
Yeah, it could be, but occasionally you will find a gem where like there is a bigger name actor who took on a smaller movie because he liked the script and it's a dope ass movie. Like you'll find some gems that way.
There are some actors who come out like that. Like Danny Glover is one of those actors who, if he believes in the movie and the script, he'll you know throw his name in there and do it for free. And the other side of it is there are some low budget, like first time made movies that you're like, yo, that was a good ass movie, and it's low budget as hell, but like, yo, that's a classic.
Right, but even those you can tell in 20 minutes. Like you only need 20 minutes to know if it's gonna be one of those kind of movies.
Right.
They're like, no, it ain't hitting on nothing.
We just peeped one called Tasmanian Devil. It was pretty. It was straight. It was who did it? P.
It was an African movie.
Who did it?
Master P?
Master P?
Birdman.
No, Birdman Production.
It wasn't called Cash Money Production.
Cash Money Production.
Oh no, I take your word for it.
No, it was straight. No, Jay, it was straight. It was like a school days. It was straight.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to take your word
straight.
for it.
You know, sometimes some things you gotta look over, but no, it wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad.
All right.
Okay.
So, do y'all think like Denzel gets the benefit of the doubt a lot of times because
Absolutely.
of who he is?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Because,
But I mean, I think every actor does a bad movie or a bad script, or I just think you can't do that many movies and not
And
catch
not
it.
right. And not Lil Egg. Right.
I don't know about that. I think that I don't know. I think that there are many actors that start on a high or maybe start on a low as they're starting out or whatever, but in their fabulous career on a high. Everybody, like, you know, and not have had a bad movie in between. Like, I think that there are actors that has had a streak of just like, this is great movies.
I don't know. Even Al Pacino has done movies that I watch and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
but I think like the similarity between Al Pacino and somebody like Denzel is like, which is why I always say, as much as I love Denzel and he's a treasure to us, I've always said Denzel's overrated because every role that he plays is Denzel. It's not like you get lost in his character a lot of times. And I'm saying strictly as an actor. Like he's entertaining as hell. I watch all his movies. But it's very rare that I get lost in his roles and I forget that it's Denzel playing a role. I can always see Denzel in his characters.
But that may be true. Like that, there's a piece of him that never you can always spot, but the characters, I think, they're not all the same character.
No,
You know what I
absolutely
mean?
not. Right,
I can see that, yeah.
right,
I
yeah.
can see that.
That's but I can always. I never have to be reminded that it's Denzel playing that. He always supersedes the character to me. Which is. It's not a bad thing. I just think when
it shows his greatness.
It does, but as opposed to when Jeffrey Wright is one of my favorite actors, because I can go into a movie and I can get lost in the character and forget that it's him actually playing.
Jeffrey Wright, for
exactly.
us that don't know.
So Jeffrey Wright is the dude that played Peoples Hernandez. He's played Martin Luther King. I don't even know if Jeffrey.
Look, Al's googling real quick.
And he's on that. He was on the list with Tess when we were talking about actors and on our show, the Speak the Truth and Test named Jeffrey Wright. That's dope because you guys are the only two people I heard speak his name. Well, he's a dope actor though. He
is. He was didn't he direct what's the movie with the guy?
Oh,
What's the movie? What's the movie he directed? What's the movie he directed?
He's been in quite a few
The one
stuff.
with the people. The one with the people. What's the movie? The one that was on HBO. Oh, he's awesome. I understand what you're saying, Jay. I get it now. That was a good example, Jay. Good example.
So, but two completely different types of acting. Like Jeffrey Wright is a method actor where he can play different kinds of roles, and you forget that it's him playing it. I'm just saying, I don't think people write movies and say, I'm going to write this character, and I think people say I'm going to write this character for Denzel. You get what I'm saying? I don't think people say I'm going to write this character and hope that Denzel chooses it. People, I think at this point, people say, man, this would be a perfect role for Denzel. I'm going to write this character for him, because you're hoping that Denzel gives you Denzel in that role.
Yeah, I think it speaks to his style of an actor.
Right.
That
Absolutely.
he is going to be him. You're going to know whatever because of his walk, the way he talks, the way he does his mouth, the way he does his shoulders. These are just some distinguishable things about him.
I'm just saying, right? Right?
You like that? You like that? You
right?
almost changed it up. I said, y'all would appreciate that. Jeffrey Wright was also in the Hunger Games.
Yes. Yeah, he was.
IMB page.
So.
And Shaft.
Yeah. But the one that he directed, I'm sorry, Gina. The one that he directed was the one where the guy that played the movie you just saw this weekend, where the white girl in the movie, she dated all the black boyfriends and she had them all killed so that they could steal their brain. Come on, y'all. How do you not know this movie? Didn't Jeffrey Wright direct that weekend?
Get Out?
Get Out. Thank you.
No, that was not Jeffrey Wright.
Get Out. You didn't direct that? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. That was Jordan Peele.
Okay.
That was Jordan Peele. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in the Source Code.
He played Cadillac Records. He played Jeffrey Wright's done everything.
Yeah, he's quality.
Yeah, he did play Muddy. I totally forgot about that.
Absolutely.
One day I'm gonna watch that movie.
That was a good one.
Oh.
How many of you all have seen that movie, Judas and somebody? What's the title of it?
Judas and the Black Messiah.
Judah and the Black Messiah.
Judah and the Black Messiah. Who has watched that?
Wonderful movie. Powerful.
Yeah.
You just watched that.
Really good movie. It made me mad all over again, but it was really good. He's definitely a really good actor.
Yeah.
And that skin, man, he must have been using some shea butter because that skin looks real.
That kid, he's really gaining steam though. His acting is he's really gaining.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Daniel Kaluuya, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the haircut or the shea butter. It was something going on with him because he looked totally different.
And
that's called money.
Money.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
Yes, so I think before Jay watched the movie, before I was able to sit down and watch it with him, he watched, like, he's always doing this too, and I love that he does this. He'll watch, like, you know, the makings of the movie or whatever, and I had no idea that he's from England and he's got an English accent.
Oh yeah. So he's part of the, I guess you can call it a bit of a controversy where a lot of American actors are up in arms because a lot of the major roles, U.S., American roles are going to English actors now. And that kind of started with Idris Elba, Daniel Kaluuya. What's the other guy that played in Detroit? He was the black dude in Star Wars. The people
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, him. So a lot of black English actors are getting a lot of flack for taking American roles. One, because they're cheaper. They're cheaper to hire. So yeah, Daniel Kaluuya is in that group of of English actors. But he did a damn good job. I don't get away from.
Yeah, I think it was a well done movie. I totally appreciated them lifting this story up. I mean, I think this is a story that I think I learned about in college and was just kind of like, yo, that was fucked up. Like I did not know that's how our government got down. And I think when you hear the idea that, when we saw people going against our country a month ago, right, white people, and they was pretty much like taken out to dinner afterwards in terms of how they were treated, right? Like they really didn't get treated that harshly compared to how black people would have get treated, right? And you heard people say all the time, well, if that was black people, they would have got shot and killed. That's why people say that, because that's what happened. You had a resistance. You had people who were revolting against our country, and what did they do? They murdered them all. Like they blew them up. And I think here that time is just another example of what our country will do to people of color who resist.
Yeah, and we talked about this, Al, briefly on the Defy Life show, where we were talking about the people who the QAnons and the MAGA crowds. We said this, that white people really in this country don't really have a history of like longevity when it comes to fighting for shit, because they never had to, right? So you see that 3 weeks after they didn't get their way on the Capitol, they've disappeared. Even like the actual organization QAnon has said, okay, well, Trump's out of office, go back to living your life. Literally verbatim, that's what they said. So to see someone like Fred Hampton, who at 21 years old was really literally willing to die for what he believed in, and to see that fight for generation after generation, and the negative we talk about attaching negative connotations to things. The Black Panthers is like the epitome of something that people attach negative connotations to, where they were like all about positivity. Like the Black Panthers started the WIC program, something that the government like adopted and now uses. Actually, like it's amazing, the struggle and the accomplishments and the leadership qualities that man showed by the age of 21.
Yeah, and that's something that I didn't even know myself, because I'm not educated at all when it comes to Black Panther, but it showed a real positive light on the Black Panthers, and they continuously kept saying that, like what he was for, what he was trying to do. So I love the movie. It didn't show him messing with 20 women. It didn't show no drugs on the table, sniffing and all this stuff. So it was real refreshing just to see a positive movie, and it really just showed what they were for and what happened.
right? And you can see, I said this to Ladine when we were watching it. You know, it never ceases to amaze me when, even today, when we talk about black businesses and black entrepreneurship, and how much of a struggle it is to get people to work with you, as opposed to everybody wanting to do stuff separate so it can be the first one to get there. And there's like it's so hard for us to work with each other. But if you notice in that movie, and this is something that was always said about Fred Hampton, was he made himself smaller than the movement. He always put the people first and the movement first. And so whenever like the crowns would try to force upon him, nah, you gonna do this my way, you on my turf, he would always bring it back to, what if we did this together, and imagine how powerful we could be. And he always brought it back to us and we and unity and how strong we could be if we did this together. And he would never let that get lost in his power or his. And we see that even with the greatest of our leaders. We've seen it. Malcolm X got power hungry at a certain point. Martin Luther King got power hungry at a certain, not necessarily power where they wielded this like dictatorship.
Destroy, right?
They got kind of, they became bigger than the movement at certain points. And so like that's tough to do, especially at that young of an age, to have that much power, to be able to hold that in check and to always bring it back to, this ain't about me. It's literally about us and about the people. So that's very impressive.
I think it was amazing as a movie how they demonstrated or highlighted the connection of Malcolm X and how he was inspired in many ways, was like listening to his speeches as a way. And so I think the Black Panther Party, there was a direct connection to Malcolm and his death, how it inspired black folk all over the world, right? But I also think what was kind of cool, and Jay, when you're talking about his desire for unity, is the scene where he's even engaging the white people. And I think what many Black Panthers appreciated was this idea that you ain't my enemy. Like you might treat me a certain way because I look a certain way, but the truth of the matter is it's us against them. It's not me against you, right? And another thing, just one thing I just brought to mind was I've had some real cool things happen to me in my life. One of them was when I first moved to Atlanta, I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time. I worked with Eldridge Cleaver's son. And so I got a good, as much as a good lesson, I guess is the best way, just in terms of what that life was like, and what the Panthers were about, and even being introduced to some of them here in Atlanta as he continued to interact with them through because he was kind of a celebrity because he was Eldridge Cleaver's son. Like they really showed him a lot of love. And last thing, they made a movie called Panther in '95 that I encourage people to check out because it was well done, very historic. Directed by Mario Van Peebles. Courtney Vance is in it. Kadeem, what's his name? Kadeem Hardison is in it. Bokeem Woodbine. Angela Bassett is in it. So like just well done, and 25 years ago, but I think it definitely also offers some perspective on what that experience was like and how they were formed and who they were.
Right. And also, first of all, I didn't know that you were had that opportunity to spend time with Eldridge Cleaver's son. That's dope.
Yeah.
And I encourage everybody to read Eldridge Cleaver's book, his memoirs, Soul on Ice. Very, very, very powerful. So, go ahead, Jen. No, I just had a question, so I'm just popped in my head because Fred Hampton is, like I said, is a movie that I always wish was a movie was made about him. Do any of y'all have like anybody, like whether it's politician, actor,
I got
musician,
two.
anybody you wish that could have a biopic made about them?
Yes, two. Marcus Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois.
Wow.
I think they lived lives that I think would inspire people today. And I think people hear those names and just don't even recognize that the true giants they were in terms of how they saw the world, their vision, their desire to be scholars, and just their impact and legacy. I think that's who I would love.
Yeah, Marcus Garvey's always been one of mine. Mine would be Marcus Garvey, and I mean I know in the scale of we were talking about, it's probably seem like small potatoes, but Outkast is one I wish they would make a movie.
Oh yeah, I would like to see them too.
Yeah.
I have to think about that.
Yeah, I'm like I can't think of.
I mean, I don't got no famous people. I got personal people I would love to see.
Don't say the guy who owned the
All right. John from the bodega. Who you talking about?
Y'all so wrong.
Y'all
so wrong.
Can y'all hear me, lady? I had liked the part in the movie too, and the Caucasians, but then he also had like the powerful person for the Hispanic, like the Puerto Ricans. So I really wish that they can come up with a movie to dig more into our brown, like Latino people, so we can see, because we have powerful black movies, but it was so many people helping out the movement and so many people that have issues with what's going on in the States. So I wish they could just so we can just really dig and get down to some history that we don't know. You know what I'm saying? So that was something powerful that I kind of, because we really don't talk about like our Latinos and Puerto Ricans and all that stuff when it comes to politics and stuff.
I would love, so there's I mean, only mainly Puerto Ricans know of this man, but his name was Pedro Albizu Campo, and he was very much of a revolutionary in Puerto Rico, and he had something to do with the Young Lords also, but he was the man in Puerto Rico. He was the man with the plan. So yeah, I mean, I would love to see a biopic of him. I thought that would be dope.
Do you know why that won't happen though? And like me and you've had this discussion before. Is there so many Puerto Ricans and Latinos in general that don't want to acknowledge their blackness?
Yeah, that's real.
And so they'll fight tooth and nail not to have those movies and stories told, because they don't want no parts of. I think we said this before. Like, they like our rhythm, but don't want our. They want our rhythm, but not our blues.
I mean, I think it just depends on. I think it depends on the individual. I think it depends on, because there are just so many different. There's so many different. You have so many different Afro Boricuas. You have so many different Afro Latinas that are very proud to be Afro Latinas. So I think it definitely depends. I think that's like a fine line.
Another thing I was exposed to. I was just going to say another thing I was exposed to in college, because I think we went to school with a few Afro Latinas. But then, like, one of my best boys, shout out to Jerry, his dad was one and was real clear. Like, yeah, Al, you black and I'm Puerto Rican, but let me tell you my heritage and why we connected. And like his father, like on many a day when I would go visit his house, would make sure he understood, like, bruh, nah, don't look at me as, no, we like this.
Right.
I'm like, that's how I see it.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know.
To Jay's point, like, right, there are, and that's probably why it hasn't happened, right? So a combination of that and just your regular racism, right, like from white folks to black folks or dominant to whatever. But there is a lot of that, like internalized oppression, that is like, I'm not going to acknowledge that my heritage, I'm from African descent too, and so you just, and to Al's point, before I got to college, and that was Ruth Chapé for me. She was the one that taught me. I didn't know, and I went to a high school that was 50% Latin American,
Wow.
mostly Puerto Rican, and I did not know that they were of African descent too. Because there was not one person that I remember, and I was cool with plenty of Puerto Rican students, right? There's not one that I remember talking about, like, we were all in the same boat. Like, it was kind of this, you knew that we were not white. You know what I mean? We knew that we were oppressed, but that connection of, like, yo, we are both from African descent, never not once came up. And I'm not saying that there weren't, Latin Americans in the school that acknowledged that. I'm just saying it wasn't like, yo, it wasn't people shouting it from the rooftop, none that I knew. So it wasn't until I got to college where Ruth was like, yo, let me tell you what the real deal is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit, okay.
And I think in America the lines get blurred, because I think that's where the lines really get blurred. So I think the lines get blurred in America. So right. And no, seriously, because and I say this all the time, I feel like Americans, period, are very privileged human beings and don't even understand what having a roof over their head is having a privilege. So but Hispanics in America, any minorities in America, period, don't realize that they are literally walking on the backs of Black people, that the reason why they have the rights that they have are because of Black people. And so that's why being a Hispanic in America, I love being a Latina woman, and I'm very proud of it. But when you see people making when I see other fellow Latinas making derogatory marks against Blacks, it bothers me. Because one, I'm married to Black people. Black folks are in my blood. African blood runs through my veins, my children's veins. So it literally infuriates me and it boils my blood, because they don't realize you wouldn't have rights if it wasn't for the Black man that fought for your fucking rights. And JR and I were talking about this as I'm watching this movie with him, and I'm thinking about Black Wall Street. I'm thinking everything's running through my mind as we're watching this movie, right? And I'm like, yo, I just think it's crazy. Like, tears are coming down my eyes, and it's insane to me. Black people would run this country if there wasn't so much damn oppression. I'm thinking about the jail system. I was just going through everything, like, in my head, and like a matter of seconds, everything starts running through my head, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. It's sad. It's painful. So much hurt was brought up by watching this movie. It was just, and it's not funny. It's really not funny. But I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting lost in my words here a little.
And you also see what the power of being able to control the narrative gets you. So when for decades, most people, I'd say, when I say most, probably 99% of people thought Fred Hampton was this like gangster who imposed his will on, the government and the police, and tried to, like, they probably thought he was that guy. As opposed to a guy who really tried to unite people and got people to see that there is power in numbers. And when that started to happen, they literally assassinated him. And when I say they, I mean the government. The FBI came in and 99 shots they fired through his door and in his house, and they retaliated with one shot. So even under siege, he wasn't retaliating. So when you're able to control the narrative, imagine just in that one microcosm of history, just imagine how, like, the mass and the masses of stories and narratives have been twisted to change history because we don't control the narrative.
But they have to because that's how they stay in power.
Absolutely.
Because what the secret to the science of America is that it is about numbers.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the numbers, you can vote somebody out.
All right.
If you have the numbers, you can put somebody out of business.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the numbers, you can keep a stock up that people were betting on that wasn't going to, you know what I mean? Like this whole system is about, do you have the numbers? And if you got the numbers, you tend the system is set up. If you have the numbers, you're supposed to get your way. And the way they keep their way because they're in power is make sure y'all don't understand that, because otherwise we throw them out of power.
Right. Yeah. And to promote fear. And so when you're able to promote that fear, you're able to control the ones who control the narrative. So that, i.e., like you just mentioned, voting people out of office, and a lot of those people who attacked the Capitol really under the belief that there was an election stolen from them, because somebody who controlled the narrative told them a bunch of lies, and they believed it. So it's things like that like you said, if you are able to control that narrative, you can rewrite history.
That's one of the reasons, or one of the ways of which, this whole oppression thing is genius.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like it is genius. And when you think about all of the ways like that, it's just infiltrated throughout every single thing that we do, every aspect of our lives.
It's
from
normal.
the movies, it is normal. And because it's so pervasive, that's one of the things anyway, that makes this shit so hard to fight.
Mm-hmm. And it makes it so hard to fight, and it's so intertwined and so woven into the fabric of America that whenever you try to fight it, people think you're fighting America. Like whenever people try to say, oh, we need to do away with racism, people will actually say, well, go somewhere else if you don't like it here.
Either you fight in America or you're the problem.
Right.
I mean, but, America is about racism.
Right.
While I get your point, but I also want to lift up that in the entire history of this country has been the existence of a level of evil that we should never, ever, ever forget. And Judas and the Black Messiah reflects that evil. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole lot of other movies and stories we can share, but the way this country has operated, there's always been this existence, along with the great ideals that I think exist as well, as a level of evil that I will always attach to America until they get rid of it.
Mm-hmm. Of course, that's how the country started.
Right, and
like it wouldn't be if it were not for the slave trade, for coming and stealing and killing the Native Americans. Like that's how it started.
Building generations of wealth off of those behaviors,
and then claiming it.
Right.
Not only, right, and then claiming it like it was their own.
Right, and then also, but like you said, it's genius because you've convinced people that it's okay for that to happen, and generations of people should forget that their ancestors worked for that. But you also convinced those same people to benefit from their stolen wealth, and to be able to. So it's so pervasive, like you said, that it's normal. Nobody even questions it. And shout out to
Jay taught those same people to hate themselves.
Right.
Doing all the shit that all the lies you made up. And the thieving that you did.
Right. And shout out to, because I think this gets lost in that movie, shout out to Lakeith Stanfield, who played the antagonist. What was his name? Bill, the guy who, Judas, basically.
Yeah,
Bill O'Neill.
Bill O'Neill. He, from everything I read, like he struggled with, of course, playing that role because that's a tough role to play. And he had to, he had to meet Fred Hampton's son, who is now a chairman of the Black Panthers Cubs in Chicago, who was born 20 days after Fred Hampton got killed, his only child. So we had to meet him, had to meet the family. They took him out into they took him and Daniel Kaluuya out in the Chicago streets to kind of give them a feel of what they were doing. And so when he met Fred Hampton's son came in, who was Fred Hampton Jr. He came in and introduced himself to Daniel Kaluuya, introduced himself to the dude who directed the movie, and didn't introduce himself to Lakeith Stanfield. He came back about 20 minutes later and introduced himself because he was, it was that real to him. But I say that to say, most of us watching that movie, if we're honest with ourselves, we can relate more to the dude who Bill O'Neill than we can Fred Hampton. I can't think of many things outside of like my immediate family that I'm willing to die for, literally. I can't relate to Fred Hampton in that way, but I can relate to Bill O'Neill in the sense that if I'm caught up in some shit and somebody offers me something, I would probably take serious thought into what I would have to do to get out of that shit. Most of us are built that way. It ain't many of us that are built like Fred Hampton.
Yeah, they offered him some big stuff.
Right. Like they say,
he was getting money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because at the end he got a gas station and what else?
Yeah, $200,000.
$200,000. Like to this day, like making $200,000. Like, come on.
All right, a year.
So he was offered like big money.
All right. So that's what I'm saying. Like most of us, I know I can't relate to Fred Hampton in that way. I can be inspired by him, and he can be my aspire to, but it ain't much shit, for people I don't know that I'm literally willing to die for. Most of us ain't built like that.
That's horrible. That's the ugly truth right there. It's horrible.
Right, but so that's what I'm saying. Like, shout out to Lakeith Stanfield for standing in that role and playing that shit, because he played the hell out that role.
Mm-hmm. He did. Alvin.
I need straight Alvin. He's rubbing off on me. Yeah. I haven't watched the movie yet. Al and I sat down to watch it. I think I fell asleep on it. So I'm glad, like, in all this conversation, like, y'all haven't. I have not lost my desire to watch the movie.
Good.
So it's kind of good, even good insight going on. I know some things to look for. But good stuff. That's what I hear.
And I would like to add something, and this is what I love seeing. I'm sorry, Gina. I love seeing movies like this, and I love having conversations with non-Black people about the Black Panther movement and just about the strength of Black people in this country. And for me, it's beautiful that even through the colorism, right? Because when it comes to Hispanics, like JR was saying before, there's so much hate. There's so much including the colorism, but there's so much self-hate for Hispanics all around. It's a lot of the South Americans, they're very stuck up. They don't like us island Hispanics because they know that we're mixed with African, as if they're not African too. And so it's just so much hate against each other. And, well, you're not this or you're not that, so we can't stick together and we just can't be one. Where for the most part, when Black people got to come together, Black folk come together. And that's one of the most beautiful things about this movie, just about Black people, period, to me. In this country, it's to me that's a beautiful thing, and that's something that I don't think many other cultures or people have, period.
I don't think that's a fair or accurate statement.
No.
No. Because when I think about the Jews, like that's like the level of solidarity that we used to see like in New York City. You know what I'm saying? Like it's there. I
and
refuse to
and they got
believe.
reparations.
Yo, I know.
Three
Like it's
times.
just, you know what? I don't. Yeah. Um,
From two countries. How crazy
yeah.
is that shit?
Um, and then I think that for people of color, right? Because that might be a little different because there is still some white privilege there, right? As a Jewish person, the Jews that I'm talking about in New York, like there's still some white privilege just because of the skin that they're in. But to that point, like, so I think that is will explain anyway, some of the reasons why we don't see the solidarity or the unity in some other cultures, right? Because it's just not lifted up in that way.
It's just not.
It's not. So that's not to say that it doesn't exist. Like I just think that some of the subcultures, they're smaller, they're more oppressed, there's less light, there's like all this stuff. But I know that there have been, I just believe it. I can't say I know factually, but I believe that there has been revolutions in Puerto Rico. You know what I'm saying? People who had movements that was about solidarity, was about fighting oppression, was that, you know what I'm saying? You go to the Caribbean, like all of these places, these were oppressed people. On some level, there's been some sense of freedoms accomplished, and that does not happen without solidarity and us fighting. Because they ain't never going to give it to us.
No, absolutely not.
Saying? Any levels of freedom that any oppressed people have made, it's because they fought for it in unity.
And what I think about, like, and for African American communities, when I say strictly African American, not just black folks, but specifically African Americans, is that I think when you make that statement, Ladine, I think it's because we don't know our subcategories, right? So all we know is we black. That's the only connection we got to each other. We don't know if we are fighting for my Nigerian people or for my people from the Congo. We don't know where we come from. All we know is the connection that we have to each other. We're in America and we black. So that's where our solidarity comes from. So it's more widespread.
I get that, but that is some type of solidarity. Whereas
no, I mean, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. I'm saying I just think it's more visible that way because it's in America and we're all black, as we don't see those subcultures because we don't know where our subcultures come from.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's probably a both and, right? Like, yeah, and the whole thing is just so complex and it's just deep and
it's
fucked up.
deep. It's deep. It's definitely deep because we're all black, but we all know that we've been mixed because of our masters and slave owners and all that stuff. That's the kind of stuff that kind of hurts me the most.
So all of us has at least one teenage child and older. So is Judah and the Messiah something that you watch with your children or will watch with them or?
Absolutely will.
Yeah, I will.
Yes, it's not bad to show. It can be down to like what age? Like a young age. Yeah,
I definitely think it's worth having a conversation with them.
Yeah. Understand it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, really, it's really part of history. Movies like that. Is. So,
really good movie. Because I'm the one that kind of like was on the fence. I was like, if we see another slave movie, I'm gonna end up just getting crazy.
I'm with you.
I don't know if it's just me, but I can't watch another slave movie. I don't want to see
I don't watch no more slave movies, man.
I don't want to see running in no tree, running from life. I don't want to see none of that. So it was really refreshing to watch this movie, because it's something that educated everyone. It kind of opened our eyes of like, this is what happened.
And
that's kind of how I see slavery movies, though. Like I feel like I can't learn enough about it, and so And I don't say I necessarily look for them, but if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. And if it happens to expose me to more information about slavery, like
I mean, yeah, like Harriet Tubman
it's
movie.
fascinating.
That was a little different. The Harriet movie, but just like a movie where we running and we getting wet, like that stuff just hurts me. I can't watch another.
I'm with
movie.
you because
It's
to
just
me
showing.
it perpetuates the notion that that's where our history started and that's all we got to talk about.
Yeah, and it just messed us up mentally just watching something like that. And then you have people like us to be like, well, that couldn't be me. Like, come on, dude, that would have been you. But like, you don't even know the half of what these people went through.
Them slavery was a choice niggas. That's what you talking about.
Right. It amazes me when people say, yeah, I wouldn't have been able to live during those times. Of course you would. You know why? Because that's when you lived.
Right, and
that's when you lived.
And you live these days. What the fuck are you doing about it now?
Yeah,
like,
what you doing
now?
now?
What are you doing about your current situation?
Somebody say that.
Right. Like the world is perfect now. You man, please.
You're not doing anything right now, and you still oppressed. Like, get down.
He's right. Your boss literally called you a 24-karat nigga yesterday, and you wouldn't have been far for slavery. Okay, man. Whatever.
That's funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, I love it.
So this is Black History Month.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is, ain't it?
It is Black History Month. How do y'all do Black History Month? Do you celebrate it? Is it just another month? Do you intentionally insert things? Like, do you do shit with your kids around Black History Month? Like, how does that work? And then for you, Ladine, like there's a Puerto Rican month, Latin American.
You mean Hispanic Heritage Month?
Yes.
Yeah, that.
That.
Do you celebrate that? I'm just saying. I don't know. Do you celebrate that? Are you intentional about doing things with the boys? Like,
well, I mean, to be completely honest, it's for me, it's so different, and I know people expect me to be different, more different than what I am when it comes to these issues. So for me, okay, I am. My parents were born and raised in New York. They were born and raised in the South Bronx. So I am second generation Puerto Rican. My children would be third generation. And then they're also half Black. So it's very different. It's not like I don't just teach my children. How can I say this? So I'm probably not the same as somebody whose parents were fresh off the boat. Do you know what I mean? I'm actually just starting to teach my children Spanish. I learned Spanish very late. So my teachings in my household, they're going to be very different. I grew up in a different kind of culture that you would expect most Hispanics to grow up in. Like we're very Americanized. So I definitely don't give them probably as much as I should when it comes to more information about being Puerto Rican heritage, what it means, how proud we are. I let them know how proud we are. I do, but maybe now that you asked that, yeah, I could definitely do more than what I do as my part. Now, JR, he definitely puts his work in with them. I mean, he puts his work in. He definitely puts way more work in than I do about instilling all the goodness into them. Yeah.
I mean, just because like Black History Month doesn't register to me until somebody says it. Because I'm sure we all relate. Like, I'm a Black man every day. So I don't have time to highlight it in February. So I appreciate it, when people, bring it up and post facts and historical. I appreciate that, but I don't put any more weight on my blackness than I do any other time of the year. So, if I'm always sitting down and watching movies and getting and buying books and telling stories of Black history with my kids, because that's who they are. They Black all around, every day of the year. So I can't really highlight it out in a month.
And I think for me, more of it comes from my issues, accepting being a Latina woman, me being my own identity issues. Other Latinas looking at me like, well, you don't speak Spanish enough. And why do you hang out with them Black girls over there instead of hanging out with us? Do you know what I mean? And why you listen to rap music so much? Why you ain't over here listening to this? Like, it was just, I never fit the bill. But so for me, I don't know. It's a lot. The color of my skin might be pale. But that doesn't mean, so I don't know. Anyway, so for me, I know that a lot of what I have taught my children or what I haven't taught my children have come from my own identity issues, which I have embraced being a lovely Puerto Rican Latina woman. Okay, as of late.
Okay.
And I finally see how important it is to show them, to teach them the language, to teach them the history. So that is soon coming, but it's not something that I think I owned enough for me to teach or instill in my children. Okay.
Well, and go ahead.
Over here, we're kind of along the lines with like JR, with Black History Month. It's something I never really celebrate. Like, I know that we have Black History Month, and I always see, like, on social media, whatever, like, we got the shortest month or whatever. But even talking to our kids, I don't really talk about Black History Month, but we do try to do something around the month, though. Like, recently, we've been trying. And definitely when Martin Luther King Day, we kind of turn on YouTube and kind of educate them a little more with that. But we talk Black all the time here in this house. So it's like something normal. We try to educate them on, with the police, just being Black. Now with the two little ones, we haven't yet, but we kind of still introduce them of like who made what, like who made the light, who did this and that. So they kind of educated on that with YouTube though.
We it's like we try to use any moment we can as a teachable moment. So no matter Monday, Wednesday, August, January, just whenever we could interject a teachable moment, that's when we try to employ it.
But we need to do a better job, though.
Yeah, we can do more. I'm with Ladine. We can do more.
Yeah, because we don't
enough
do
is
too
never
good.
enough.
Because like we had we played a game and it was like name some civil rights like people. I couldn't name none. I could have named like two. So I felt bad. So and it was like name some civil rights like what was it? Like Brown versus
the court case
education. Yeah, so I was all over the place. I was like, you know what? I need to do I need to do better with myself too. So that's something I need to put down in the books because we're not doing a good job.
I saw a which I thought was really cool that I said I was going to do with the children that live here. It was a video, and I can't remember if it was YouTube or like Instagram, where there was a young Black guy, and he's like a kind of a scavenger hunt in the house, right? So go around, like he's running around the house, go around and identify all the things that have been made by a Black person. And so like, and I can't even, like right now, the door stopper comes to mind, the thermostat, but it was just like a whole bunch of stuff in the house. And even I was just like, damn, I know we made that. So I said I was going to do it, not so much. I mean, because the oldest one here is 8, and so he's not necessarily going to know. Like, so could not do any scavenger hunt kind of thing, but just the idea of introducing things to them, that has been actually made by a Black person, because that's not done enough here, right? In my opinion, we are not intentional about helping them to understand who they are and where they came from. And that's one of the, and I want to get better. And while, they're my nephews and niece, like I still have a responsibility to them, right? Or all young Black or oppressed children, whatever. But that's one of the ways in which we know that we can help them to kind of, to combat some of this internalized oppression, right? To help them, like, just to feel better about who they are by allowing them to hear the other parts, the positive things, the, contributions that we've made, like, just to balance or even surpass, like, all the negative messages that they get from all this other shit every day.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. So, yeah, we, yeah, I don't know. What do you think? With our kids, I think we definitely did not focus on Black History Month, as we didn't focus on February necessarily, like, let's just start bombarding and making sure. But I think, like you all, we tried to do it, like, throughout the year, but definitely could have done a better job.
I definitely think we could have done a better job, been more consistent or intentional. I mean, I think, though, depending on the year, we looked at Black History Month like any other holiday. Like, I'm a barbecue on Memorial Day to acknowledge that it's Memorial Day, but I'm a barbecue all the way throughout the year too. So I think we would acknowledge that it's Black History Month. We might go to an event, watch a movie, or go to a lecture. I mean, like, it was things that if it came up, we would do it, even if they might have had a program in their school or some type of activity. But I think we also try to represent and expose them to by who we are and who we shared, like who we had around us, like powerful Black people, and shared also the stories of powerful Black people of the past. So, yeah, I mean, I think history's always fascinated me too. So it's always something that, whether it's February or November, if I might read an article or, look up or a documentary or something just to be exposed to some significant person in the past and what they contributed. Like, some of that stuff is just kind of interests me just generally.
Yeah, and I remember us having the conversation, like, when we moved here, we moved from a predominantly Black neighborhood. Our children did their first couple of years in a very diverse school, and diverse, not just like Black and white, but many different ethnic groups in the school. And then when we moved to this county that was majority white, like, that was a conversation that we had in terms of, were we comfortable with our children being in this overwhelmingly majority white school? And we finally landed with, yeah, we're okay with it, because we felt that our children were grounded enough, right, that they would be okay. And that we continued to build them up to make sure that we were okay. But it's funny because, and this is a whole nother topic probably, but my son recently shared with me how he felt about one of his white teachers, and that he believed that she was racist. Now, in that year, Alvin, we had a few challenges, and at that point, I did not understand, or even, I don't know, it never occurred to me that it could be this whole race thing happening. And so, it's funny. So as we have the little ones here, it's like, would I make the same choice again? I don't even know. But like I said, that's a whole nother topic. But we tried to make sure that they knew who they were, and that as a Black and brown people, like, you should be proud of that.
So I think one of the coolest comments, I think it was Alvin, gave me, even though I don't think he meant it so much as a compliment, but he talked about how he went off to college and got exposed to like things, or we were exposing him to, that he just kind of thought was just us, like the symbol of the Ankh that we have on my ring, and that you got as your tattoo. Like, he just thought that was just my mom and dad like this thing, and then he gets in, he sees, oh wow, there's a whole lot of other people who might have this symbol somewhere and look at it as an expression of life, and it's an African centered symbol, and like, wow, what the hell were they trying to expose me to then? And they a little cooler and deeper than I gave them credit for.
I love it. I love that.
You know, maturity, it has its benefits, right? and our son, he is so I don't know, militant in so many ways. Like, he's that dude, like Black Power. But also, and it's not just Black Power, Alvin is very much an advocate and a supporter in I don't know, like liberation for all people.
That's
right?
exactly what he believes.
Yeah. So it's not even like it's beyond race. It's everybody. The biases and oppressions against, like, for sexual orientation and like all of it. He's just like human rights. Period.
And what I appreciate about him is he's not afraid. He's not afraid to stop to continue to learn. So he never. I've never had a conversation with him or made a statement to him where he thinks he has all the answers. He's always willing to learn.
Oh, you need to talk to him often.
I mean, he has a lot to say, but he's always willing to accept the lesson.
Yep. He is, and he does a lot of research. Like, he reads a lot of shit, and always have, and not like, he's not necessarily going to go to a book kind of kid, but articles and YouTube and like all kinds of like, and this shit that he's just like, I'm like, how do you even know that?
He's curious.
He's like, yo, I read it. This is what this said, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Love you, dude. Yeah, he's a pretty cool young man. Yeah. But anyway, all right, y'all. I think that that's our time. Once again, we've enjoyed being with y'all. Hope that you enjoyed the show. Crew, it's been a pleasure as always. Listeners, we will see you next week. Same time, same channel. Good night, y'all.
Peace.
Good night. Peace.
We're told that greatness is exceptional, when it should be expected. You choose every day to live your life intentionally, without apology for how bright your light may shine. So go be great. Go be brilliant. Go be you. Go defy life. The Defy Life movement is one that speaks to each of us in its own way. Defy Life Gear speaks to us all by reminding us that one size does not fit all. Visit defylifegear.com to get fitted for greatness.